It's about 10 after 6 on a Sunday, and me and the Cheetah, we just finished watching Blackenstein from 1973. And this was the movie that everybody voted on for the first red bin from my closet. I showcased all the movies from my first bin, and then I asked people to vote on which movie we would watch and review, and everybody pretty much picked Blackenstein. So I got this movie from a gift. It was a gift from my buddy Catfish, and so we watched it today. And wow! So I truly don't even know where to start on this movie. Other than for sure, it is one of the most different movies I've ever seen. Me and the Cheetah. It is definitely one for the books. If you're a horror fan, you definitely want to see it at least once in your career, in your lifetime. Um, Basically, it's exactly what the title says. It's the story of Blackenstein. Um, Dr. Winifred Parker comes to see her old teacher, Dr. Stein in Los Angeles, because her boyfriend Eddie has served in Vietnam and gotten his stepped on a landmine and got his limbs all blown off. So she's desperate for anybody that can help Eddie. So she goes to her old teacher, Doctor Stein, who has his own private hospital where he's caring for a couple of patients and along with an assistant named Malcolm. So he agrees to help Winifred with Eddie, and so they make arrangements to have Eddie transferred to his hospital. Eddie's a really quiet guy. He's really peaceful. Sounds like. There's a scene in the movie where he's horribly mistreated by orderly at the Veterans Hospital, and that sort of sucked. Um, but they get him to the hospital, and Doctor Stein shows off to Winifred his treatments. He's been treating a couple of patients with his new DNA regimen. Doctor Stein has won the Nobel Peace Prize for his work in DNA and genetics. Um, and so they go ahead and Dr. Stein shows Winifred his work. One of his patients happened to get a bad batch of RNA, so he's got two legs attached through laser fusion surgery, and one of the legs is a tiger leg. That's right, I said a tiger leg. Um, So Eddie gets his arms and his legs put back together, and he's making remarkable progress. Except that Malcolm decides to declare his love to Winifred, and who still has, she's thankful. She lets him down easy, but he's consumed with jealousy, and so he sabotages Eddie's treatment and puts in RNA instead of DNA, and that causes Eddie to revert into Blackenstein. As Blackenstein, he's just a mindless monster. Um, just a few thoughts left in his head. Um, so he goes on a rampage and he kills several people, including the orderly that mistreated him. Um, he He's finally caught in the private hospital after he kills Dr. Stein, who tries to stop him from hurting Winifred. And the LA cops come in and they basically sick a dog unit on him, and it kills Blackenstein. Okay, so what did I think about this movie? Okay, honestly, truly, this movie was god awful bad. I mean, this movie, this movie is easily one of the worst movies I've ever reviewed. I had a hard time getting through it. If it wasn't for the red bin challenge, I probably wouldn't have. This movie was some this movie was some bullshit. uh, the, okay, I'm gonna do the pros first because every movie does have pros, and I'll be really quite honest with you. If someone was to remake this movie today, this movie could be outstanding. It really could. I won't lie to you about that. I love the premise. The premise was cool as hell. There's some really nice touches in the movie. The laboratory that you see that Dr. Stein uses for his surgery, it's the original setup from the 1931 movie Frankenstein. It's all the same equipment. A lot of the same equipment that they use for the Universal monster. So that was a really nice touch. Um, I really like that. I like the premise, and that's about all I can say as far as the pros go. The cons, I don't know if I have enough time to record as many. Uh, the music's horrible. The acting's worse. The effects are just grade Z. Um, it's just beyond bad. It's just cheesy as hell. Well, before you really get off on that, you really go back and see, well, who made this movie? How did it get made? It was made by a former defense attorney named Francis Salteri, who decided to come into the movie business. So he made Blackenstein, and he had a couple. He also wrote a couple other movies. Unfortunately for him, he was murdered in 1982 in a gangland type of execution. So he might have had some syndicate ties. Uh, his murder was never solved. So, but he wanted to get into the movie business, so that's what he did. Um, None of the other actors, the gentleman who played Blackenstein, played Eddie Blackenstein, he wasn't an actor. He was a friend of Salteri's, so that's how he got his part. Um, during toward the end of the movie, there's a lull in the movie so they could do a little skit with a comic, and then they had this singer come out and sing a full song in the middle of the movie that had nothing to do with the plot at all, at all. Just friends of the director, so to speak. The effects are just really trash. They're really really bad. Um, they do have a little bit of uh, early. I will say the kills were a little bit Italian, actually. I was a little bit impressed with that. Uh, both because Blackenstein would attack people, and then he basically just he turned into a zombie. So he was both Frankenstein, Blackenstein, and a bit of a zombie. So they showed some pretty impressive gore for back in the 70s, 1973. And of course, Eddie ended up dying the same way that he killed people. So that was a interesting twist. Uh, the one thing I would just sit there, I would sit there, it just killed the movie for me. Uh, was the music. It was so badly done. It was just, oh, I can't even begin to start with the score. If they had halfway decent score, they actually knew what they were doing. Someone had edited in, it wouldn't have saved the movie, but you could at least got through the movie. But when you have action movie music, when the girls are sitting in the waiting room waiting to be seen by the doctor, well, you're in bad movie territory. Uh, so that was really basically it for me for this movie. Um, it's a novelty movie. I don't think I'll probably watch it again, not unless I do a watch party with it. So if anybody has a copy of Blackenstein and wants to do a watch party, we'll be able to do that. But as far as me sitting and watching it and going like, oh yeah, yeah, that ain't gonna happen. Um, so now I will do the second bin later on. I will do the second bin, and I'll let you guys pick the next movie that we watch from it. All right. Well, that's it for this review. Um, Thanks for picking it, and thanks for Catfish for hooking me up with it. And I will say that Severin, though we're boycotting Severin, but we will say that Severin did release this movie in 2017 on Blu-ray. So if you want to get a copy of Blackenstein, you can go to Severin, and they might deliver it to you in about 4 years or so. I'm not for sure about that. It might take them 4 years to deliver it. But if you want to order it, there you go. All right. Well, thanks for watching it, and we will see you. I'm doing this on a Sunday night, so I will be seeing you folks in a few hours on the Midnight Hour, and with Hobbs Horror and Miss Boomstick, Sean Blue Digital, and the Spices. And until then, peace.